It's Matt,
It's Shawn.
and we're here with Own Their
Bones.
We'll be back in 1 second. Shawn, my man, welcome back to US of A.
US of A, we're back.
So you were in Bulgaria for a month, and this is episode 5.
Yes.
And I want episode 5 to be about the fact that you were in Bulgaria for a month. So here's my question to you. As an operator of an independent restaurant, I can only imagine what has to be in place for you to leave for a week, to leave for 2 weeks, but to leave for a month and go to a different country. I don't even know where Bulgaria is at. Like, I'm guessing it's not like north by Canada. I think it's over in Europe somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's Eastern Europe.
Okay, I cheated a lot in school, so I'm lucky to know where Kentucky's at in the country. So let's talk about, I guess first, tell us why you went to Bulgaria, because I think that's part of your story.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy now. 15 years running a restaurant, my own restaurant. Now we have 3 restaurants, soon to be 5 distribution locations. But to think of when we first opened, so I'm married to a Bulgarian woman, Rosica, and we've been together since we opened up the restaurant in 2008. And every single year since we've opened up that restaurant, I've traveled to Bulgaria to either court her before we got married in 2011, or to go back to visit her family, her mother, father, her brother, her grandparents. They all live in Bulgaria. And now we have children. I have a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and we want them to spend time with their grandparents, but also learn the Bulgarian language. And to think about back when we first opened up the restaurant, leaving for a week was a monumental task. To leave a business that you're at 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day. It was very hard to do. And I never thought there would be a time where we'd be able to go for 10 days. I never thought there'd be a time where we'd be able to go for 2 weeks. And, now for the last 3 years, I've gone for a month and been working remotely. But if I didn't have a team in place, if I didn't have Eric Olafson, who's my business partner, my director of operations, my CFO, he's the guy that really holds down the fort while I'm gone. But then, my barbecue media team, Steven Swiderski, who runs our ghost kitchens, it all comes back to team. And it comes back to the thing that we all hear in the restaurant business and in any business when you're an entrepreneur is, are you working in your business or are you working on your business? And I was always working in my business, trying to do anything and everything to keep the doors open. And then eventually you get to the point where you have to take yourself off the schedule. Taking yourself off the schedule, removing yourself from having to go to the bank, removing yourself from making sure, like all of these things that have to happen for your business, they seem impossible. How do you let go? And how are you possibly able to do it? Well, you're only able to do it as if you do it. Like I had to remove myself from the manager schedule because when my son was born, I was the shittiest manager in our restaurant. Literally, I'm the owner operator trying to do managerial tasks that are very crucial to running the business. But I couldn't do a good job of doing that because I was doing 700 other things. Yep. So it was understanding like, well, where do I find the money to hire the manager to do the task that I need to do so that I can go? But if I don't do it, what am I going to sacrifice? And, now looking back, I probably took too long to take myself off that manager schedule.
Yeah, there's a product out there called EOS Operating System. I don't know if you've seen it. I've read a few of their books. They got a book called Traction that really hit with me because, I've had my business since 2008, but from 2008 to 2015, it was basically me and Ashley. And then as we've grown, I did the math today. I think we're almost at 50 employees right now. We should hit in the next 2 weeks. We just brought on somebody else for PR. Almost 50.
50, amazing.
Yeah. And I've been involved at a high level in everything we've ever done. Yep. And at one point, I was basically everything. And it is tough to let go of things, but it's also really cool when you finally do it.
Yep.
And you look back because, like me, today's Wednesday. I don't know what time it is, 2:30, I guess, around neighborhood. And I've really only contributed maybe for an hour to my entire company. I mean, I create content. I had a conversation with a client. I've done a couple interviews. I was on a Clubhouse call, but I'm not building our stuff. I'm a leader. And talk about Like that was a big step for me. And it's a lot easier in my world because we're a B2B company and people clock in and out and we're most of the part done in the afternoon and there's no weekends, there's no customers coming in. That's got to be a big task. But what would you tell restaurants? What are a couple things that just to get them out of the restaurant for a week, out of the state versus out of the country for a year, for a month? What are a couple things that you have in place that they need to have in place, whether it's mentally or physically with a human or a system that allow you to do that? I know there's a lot of things, but what are a couple off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, number one, you have to have somebody that you trust at the highest level. And if I didn't have Eric, there's no way that I would leave for a week, 2 weeks, or a month. And it's how do you put the things in place so that he knows that he has the ultimate authority.
Okay.
It's understanding that he has to be a great enough leader to know that, oh, Shawn's not here, this can't get done because Shawn's not here. No, Shawn isn't here. I'm responsible for this decision, and we're going to move forward with this decision no matter what it is.
So he's got the confidence that you got his back and that you guys are on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it on a rudimentary level, it's having the power of attorney. Power of attorney is a legal definition of if you and me, Matt, if I'm gone or if I'm incapacitated and I can't do anything, who is my power of attorney? Who has my wife? My wife is able to make any decision for our family, financially for our business, for our family, but also who's the power of attorney in your business? Like if you don't have a business partner, if your wife doesn't work in the business, if your husband doesn't work in the business, well, where does that go? What does your company structure look like? And hopefully you have managers in place, depending on the level of your business, if you're, bigger than a coffee shop. But even if you are a coffee shop, like what happens if you get sick?
Yep. If
you don't build a business that can take care of the business for itself, then what are you building? You've just built yourself a job. The chances are the people that work for you are probably making more money than you're making.
That's the sad part, especially when you calculate your hours. Because I remember I had a business coach come in, this was years ago, and he's like, Matt, I want you to value your time more. That you're doing a lot of things you could delegate or you could stop doing altogether.
Yeah.
But he said, you're thinking like, oh, if I were to pay somebody 40 hours a week to this, and no, you're working 100.
Yeah.
And so like for me, the thing that really got me off of, I guess you could say off the org chart, was I actually drew an org chart.
Yep.
And the scary part about it, I never forget the first version we did. I was like 17 places. I wrote out, this is probably easier in a restaurant because you've got servers and bartenders. Like in my business, there's a lot of moving pieces with tech people and all this stuff.
Yep.
But I'll never forget when I wrote that first org chart, I had highlighted my block in orange and everybody else was gray that was an employee, the blue that was manager. And I was like, holy shit, I'm everywhere. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm in everybody's business. Yeah. And that if I'm not here on a certain time or this person's not, oh crap. Did you do something like that? And would that be an exercise you would recommend to restaurant owners?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think so much of it is having the courage to know that things can happen without you.
Yeah.
Knowing that things can happen without you and having the trust in the managers around you to know that things are going to continue to move forward. The last thing you want to do is to have shit go wrong.
Yep.
Things will go wrong, but it's a question of, do you have the right people in place to move it forward without you? And the best part about the exercise is that by removing yourself from the schedule, by actually thinking, well, what if I'm not on the schedule? What if I'm not responsible for filling in for the server that doesn't come, or filling in for the cook that doesn't come, or, being the manager, the bridge manager? Like, we've all done all of those things.
Yep.
Well, what if you're just not available at all? Like literally, if you're physically in another country on the other side of the world, who's going to run your restaurant? By going through that exercise, maybe you're not there yet, but at least it will give you a path of moving forward. Well, what do I need to do to get to this place? Well, I'm the one that always goes to the bank. Well, who else can go to the bank? Yep. Who else can open up the restaurant? Who else can close the restaurant? I mean, these are all basic things that when you're in it, you're like, well, no one else can do it. I don't have time to train someone else to do it. Well, you need to start thinking about that if you ever want to grow. If you ever want to grow, if you ever want peace of mind. I mean, we didn't get into this business to work 7 days a week
Yep.
to make sure that I'm the only person that can do this. Because if you're the only person that can do this, you're kidding yourself.
Yep.
You're absolutely kidding yourself. You're probably the shittiest at doing it, to be honest.
Oh, and that's same with me. I've had to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
There's things in the business that I used to do because I had to do them, and I actually sucked at them, and I sucked because I didn't like them.
Correct.
And so you got to get out of the way. Like one of the things I actually, I enjoy coaching our clients.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy sales. I mean, that's my background, and I say I don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy doing it full time.
Yeah.
I've graduated past that, but I guess to finish this conversation up, the analogy for me is you got your Padres hat on. They just spent like $1 gazillion and signed with Soto or something.
A lot of money. They're going to be spending a lot of money. Yeah.
Spent a lot of money. But when you look at that team, there's an owner of the Padres that doesn't step in the dugout, doesn't substitute a pitcher, whatever the hell they call that. Bring a pitcher to the bullpen, doesn't swing the bat, doesn't throw a pitch, has no involvement in the actual game. In the restaurant, to me, the game is inside the four walls.
Yep.
It's all the elements. Like you didn't leave the game. Like you were still managing from a skybox in Bulgaria via the internet.
Yep.
But you didn't have to actually physically partake in what happened each day for most of that stuff. And I think that's where a lot of people have to do. And for me, I would encourage restaurants. I do it on Lucid Charts, is the name of it. Lucid Charts, I think .com or .io or something. You can put little boxes on there and arrows places. And I made an org chart, and I put out everything we do. And I was scared to death. I mean, it would almost be like, I want you to imagine this org chart for my company. It would have been like, oh, Matt's a bartender. Matt's a server.
Yep.
Matt's the valet. Oh, shit. Matt's in bookkeeping. Matt's a manager. And when I saw that on paper, it was shocking. And my team, and it was funny because some of my employees were like, yeah, we've been trying to get you the hell out of our department. But you somehow slide in here. So now I'm literally not on the org chart anywhere except for CEO. I've got one focus on training certain people, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, I would take it one step further. I'm a huge fan of Simon Sinek, and he talks about CEO is just a shitty name. It's a bad name. Chief Executive Officer. What does that mean? Really, you're the Chief Visionary Officer, the CVO. And you should be the Chief Visionary Officer for your restaurant. And if you're the Chief Visionary Officer for your restaurant, back to your analogy of the Padres, I mean, what I say, I get very fortunate that I do a lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts, and people ask you, oh, you're the chef, you're cooking the barbecue. I'm like, no, I want to be Jerry Jones. I want to be the owner of the Cowboys. I want to build the stadium. I'm not actually throwing the footballs on the field. I don't want to be the quarterback. I want to be Dana White. I want to own UFC. I want to own the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I want to own the entire organization. In order for me to get there, I can't be cooking the barbecue. I can't be bartending. I can't be opening up the restaurant. I can't be doing payroll. I can't be doing all of those things. Did I have to do them in the past? Yes, I had to do them in the past. But in order for me to move forward into the future, you have to be that Chief Visionary Officer.
I'm glad you said that, because the EOS system, my title in our company and our org chart isn't CEO, it's visionary.
There you go.
And underneath there's implementer, which is Doug Smith, who technically, even though we haven't gotten to that point, is going to be in the future the only person that communicates with me directly for business. Everybody else is just, what's up, keep rocking it, have fun, and we're friends. And then underneath Doug becomes the management layer. But no, I love that. So, okay. Well, that's episode 5 in the books.
There it is.
Welcome back to America.
So the homework assignment is for everybody to think about who's going to run your restaurant for the next month. Well, you're wherever you want to be. Think of the most incredible vacation that you can have with your family. Who is in place, and what do you need to have in place to leave your restaurant? Not for a week, not for 2 weeks, but for an entire month. And what does that look like?
I love it. Own their phones, baby.
Love it.
We'll see you next episode.